So let's deal with it. Liars, tyrants, and bullies, oh my. So if you've watched The Wizard of Oz, you know that there is a place in the movie where Dorothy is saying lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. And what she's saying is she's calling up the things that she has issues and fear of. She calls up things that she feels like these things intimidate me. They scare me. They put me in a place where I feel like I'm immobilized. I can't move forward. Lions, tigers, bears, things that are more powerful than me, things that sometimes are scary, things that feel like they're going to take me out, they're going to cause me harm. And she just says, oh my, and they were they were expressing their fear. But one of the things that I understand is that it's not the people the creatures out there in the jungle that sometimes we have to fear. It's the ones under the roof. Can I just say that for the people in the back? Sometimes it's not the things out there in the wild that we have to fear. It's the things up under our roof, our collective roofs, whether it's the roof of our school or our home or our church or our place of employment. It's not that the creatures in the wild, it's the creatures up under the roof. And so how do we deal with the people who intimidate us, who seem to cause a threat for us, who seem to put us in a place where we feel threatened, we feel as though we don't have what it is that we should have? What do we do with the liars, the tyrants, and the bullies? How do we take care of ourselves when we know that they're gonna that they're going to posture us in a place where we feel like we can't be free and grow? And so I'm going to break them down tonight. I'm gonna go through the liars, then we're going to talk about the tyrants, then we're going to talk about the bullies. So let's begin, and thank you all again that jumped on with me. I believe that this is going to be an amazing segment tonight. I'm already real, raw, and relevant. Y'all already know that, so you can already get on and share because you already know it's going to be off the chain. So let's start. Let's deal with liars. Let's just go ahead and start there, because I think that's a good place to go. When we do with liars, all of us, let's just go ahead and ask a question, because one of the ways, I always say this: before the truth can make you free, you got to recognize the lie that holds you hostage. And a lot of times I think we try to project perfection, and we try to appear as though these things elude us, that we are not affected by the liars, the tyrants, and the bullies. We try to come across sometimes as though we're just out here seeing the Lord high and lifted up, and it's just hello, good, and no more goodbyes, and always hello, and it's always sunny skies. But that's not my testimony. That's not my real life. I deal with liars, with tyrants, and with bullies. I have dealt with them for my life. I'm grateful for supernatural strategies or spiritual strategies that give me supernatural results, but I'm also grateful for practical protocol that allows me to profit and progress in my purpose. And so tonight, I really want to dig into these type of people that cause peril in our purpose and causes us not to show up. And so we deal with liars. Let's deal with liars. At its most basic level, a liar or lying is misleading or untruth that is made with a very conscious effort and a conscious decision to deceive. So when someone lies to you, when you're now talking about a liar, this is someone who is consciously, intentionally trying to deceive you, trying to cause you to see something that is not there, feel something that is not there, adopt and adapt your emotions to something that is not the truth, that is not factual. If we want to just pull that down, liars operate in the realm of manipulation. Liars want to have some type of unauthorized access into your awareness, because they're trying to shift the dynamics of your reality. They're trying to give you an awareness of something that is not there. And so liars will make you think you're crazy when you know you're sane. Liars will make you feel as though you're the guilty party when you're the victim. Liars will put you in a place where you'll start to doubt who you are and whose you are, because you've given them restricted, you've given them unrestricted access into your awareness. And so now they operate in the realm of manipulation. And so there's an undercurrent of witchcraft, because now they're trying with a very intentional, conscious effort to shift what you see. They want you to see through a filter of falsehoods. They want you to see through a filter of fear. They want you to see through a filter of faultiness. And so you're looking at people, and see, a lot of the times what we will do is we have to understand, when it comes to liars, tyrants, and bullies, we like to immediately jump over into the spiritual realm and look at things. Well, we want to look at it, but let me tell you something, because lying is a very conscious effort. And I'm not dealing with the father of lies. I'm dealing with the vessel that's spewing the lies, because when it starts happening to us, a lot of the times we operate in a realm of dysfunction, and we normalize things that should not be. I teach all of the time, just because you normalized it doesn't mean it's normal. And so we'll get ourselves into such a state of emotional disarray that we will look at folk, know they're lying, and adapt our ears to conceive the lie, because we're saying, I know they're not telling the truth, but I don't want to start any mess. I'm just going to go ahead and let them say what they're going to say. Listen, just because you normalized it doesn't mean it's normal. And so we have to understand where our boundaries lie. We have to reevaluate the realm of our reality. Wait a minute, I don't have to have access, give you access into my atmosphere if you're going to get in front of me and try to intentionally manipulate my emotions so that you can come out as a victor and I can be left as a victim. So we're calling out the liars who are lying, and we're going to deal with how, that's right, no one is exempt. We're going to deal with what has happened to us and how we've gotten ourselves in a place where it has immobilized us, stagnated us, put us in a place where we feel like we can't fight, because physically we're not going to put hands. This is why I said how to fight without laying hands. One thing I always say, my children laugh at me a lot of the times. I tell them all the time, if y'all saw me on what's that hip hop Atlantic Star, all of this crazy stuff, y'all would know that I have been possessed, because I do not get out of character. Nobody's going to lay their hands on me, and I'm not laying my hands on. That's not my nature. That's just not my genetic makeup. I'm not a fighter in the natural. But what I have been, because that's not my character, what will happen is a lot of people will take your kindness, as we know, for weakness. A lot of people will misinterpret who you are because you've decided not to respond in the way that they would like you to respond. And because they're trying to get an emotional outburst out of you and you don't give them that, they find other ways, other tactics to attack you. And so a lot of the times what happens is, because nobody gives us instruction and information and impartation, we're those of us, or those of you who may be fighters in the natural, who said, I'm not trying to go back to who I used to be. I'm not trying to go back to that street. I'm not trying to take these earrings off and take these shoes off and go forward. How do I now find a way to weave my way through this place where I am? How do I defend my heart? How do I defend my spirit? How do I defend my space? How do I defend my emotions without getting engaged in something in the physical? So that's why we're dealing with this tonight, because we need to know how to defend ourselves against the liars, the tyrants, and the bullies that are present in this place, in these arenas. Be not deceived. They show up everywhere. Liars, tyrants, and bullies have no respect of person. They will show up in your house. They will sleep in your bed. They will borrow your money. They will get prayer from you. They will ask you for help. They will be a shoulder, and they will still wreak havoc on your emotions if you don't realize and get an opportunity and get information to position yourself to protect your purpose, to protect your emotions, to protect your spirit, to protect your finances, to protect your family and your future. And so Thank you guys. I see y'all in the comment section that's sharing because this is good tonight. And so people, they lie to us because they're trying to intentionally manipulate us. They're trying to distort our reality. And so you have compulsive liars. You have compulsive people that just, I mean, they just have the grandest stories. You know they're lying because you know doggone well they didn't meet that person. They didn't go there. They didn't do that. I mean, they just go all out. Compulsive, you know, and they're always the hero in their story. I don't know how to identify liars. I'm going to help you tonight, because they're always the hero in the story. Everything that happens is just way out there. I was late because first I was walking, and then my friend called me, right? Because you know everybody always called me when they need help. They need help and everything. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to stop, and then I had to do, and they start doing that repetition. You know, and then you know what I'm saying? You feel me? You feel me? Like it's y'all. Come on, we already know. If I'm already down your road, can y'all put a number 1 in the comments? Because we're getting free tonight. If you already know that this is an on-time conversation, on-time word, on-time message for you, throw a number 1 in that comment section, because I want to make sure I'm talking to the right people. And after you throw that number 1, make sure you hit that share button and put this on your page and share this with somebody or tag your folk, because this is what we're dealing with tonight. So compulsive lying. I'm just always coming up with these grand stories, these elaborate situations. And you're like, really? You know them? They know you? Oh, yeah. We were just talking the other day. Name dropping. It's just always something. And you're just like, well, good luck. All of this always happens to you. My goodness. Listen, we've got to deal. That's right. I'm going to be dealing with narcissism tonight as well. And so compulsive. Then you got those pathological liars. They're dangerous, but sometimes they're very hard to detect. When somebody is a pathological liar, it's scary because they don't even know they're lying. They put themselves, now they're not the hero of the story, they're the victim of the story. And if you're not careful, it will seem like, oh my goodness, like they seem to, they're trying to get sympathy out of you. And they're lying, and they're putting themselves in a position where now you're like, oh my goodness, how can I help you? They're pulling on your heartstrings, and they're knowing how to emotionally manipulate you. Their lies are going to cause pain. And you're just like, well, and because they start to believe the lies they tell. You try to trace them, and they're like, no, I'm telling you the truth honestly. I mean, they are earnest with it. I mean, I'm trying to tell you what's in my heart. Listen, the Bible says our hearts are inheritedly wicked. Who can know it, right? And then you got people who just, they don't lie all the time, but, you know, they just kind of put it out there. We just, you know, and just every now and again, you know, just saying this because it's just easier to just to kind of butter this up. Let me just finesse this truth because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want you to look at me the wrong way. I don't want you to feel some kind of way around me. You know, y'all already know that kind of stuff. And then you got people that are just careless liars. They do it without thinking about it. They just lie on other people. Yeah, I think she did say that. And just anybody can get it. Those type of lie, anybody can get it. Anybody can be a victim of their lying. And so when we start thinking about this, liars are often very vague. But then you also have lies. See, and this is why we have to be able to understand the totality of the people in our emotional environment, in our physical environments, because you have two different types. You have, whether you're dealing with a liar that's pathological or what, depending on what spectrum they are, they're either very, very vague or they're very, very detail oriented. I mean, they just, because I remember I was wearing a white shirt, and then, come on, you remember everything. And I remember because that day I remember waking up, I went in my refrigerator and I was like, man, I need a soda. And then after I fixed that soda right there, it had to be about 12 o'clock, like all those extra details, or they're just really, really vague. They don't really remember. I don't really recall all of that. All I know is, I don't really know who said it. I don't really remember all of it, but I do know. And so, and again, thank you. Our honesty, we have to know that we can be operating in a spirit of lying. And so that's why this is so important, because we need to know what it is, that spirit that has unauthorized access into our atmosphere. And so how do you deal with liars when you're dealing with liars? Because people lie for a lot of reasons. They lie because they don't want to be seen or detected the wrong way. They lie because they don't want to get in trouble. Sometimes people lie because they feel as though if they tell the truth, it's going to put them in a very uncomfortable position. So they lie because they're trying to protect themselves. Some people lie because they're trying to obtain a reward that does not belong to them. Sometimes a person lies because they want to get out of a situation. It's very awkward. It's not going to end. They don't want to be embarrassed. Sometimes people lie because they want to exercise power over somebody by controlling the information that somebody has. So they're lying because they want people to think that they're the only person with this information, and it has its roots in control. And so when you're dealing with somebody who is a liar, and they're affecting you, they make you feel emotionally suffocated. They make you feel emotionally imprisoned. How do you deal with liars? One of the things that you have to understand is you have to separate yourself from their behavior. One thing that happens with us is that we get so emotionally integrated with people that we immediately start being very introspective when something happens to us. And so if they lied to us, we immediately start saying, well, what did I do to make them lie to me? Why did they feel as though they couldn't tell me the truth? Or I can't believe I was treated this way. Now all of a sudden I'm a victim. Now all of a sudden I've gotten emotionally despondent. We take it so personal, and we're just all out of sorts because we don't know how to handle. But we've got to learn how to take a step back and realize that another person's lies has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. Everybody is responsible for their own behavior. You can't say, well, did I make them lie to me, and what did I do? Realize, and sometimes we don't even know that we're taking, we're not trying to be this person, but sometimes we have a realm, an air of arrogance. Can I just say this? Can I just help us? Sometimes we have an air of arrogance and we feel like everything is about us, but not everything is about us. The world does not revolve around us. Not everything that happens has to do with us. Sometimes people are lying because they're thinking about something else, and they're trying again to protect themselves from something. And so we feel like the lie is about us. It's about, I can't believe they set me up, but really that person was operating in dysfunction. Really that person was groomed in an atmosphere of dysfunction and lies. And so this has become normal behavior. I just become the byproduct because I didn't have discernment enough to see the liar. And so I ended up in the relationships. I ended up in the friendships. I ended up in the groups. I didn't see it. And so we have to stop taking on the pain and the hurt and the negativity of other people by chaining ourselves to their toxic and their self-defeating behaviors. I hope we're hearing this. We've got to release the ties and let that person be who they're going to be, however they want to be it. When you find yourself confronted with someone who simply can't tell the truth, you have to say to yourself, this has nothing to do with me. It is a reflection simply of that person and that person alone. We're out here trying to be superheroes. We're out here trying to take up the cross that does not belong to us. We have to work out our own soul salvation. And so we have to lay aside the weights that are making us not operate in our truth, that's stagnating us. And so we have to begin to separate ourselves from behaviors. We have to make sure that when somebody is saying and addressing us with a lie, that we don't make it so personal. We have to put ourselves in a position where we set parameters over our purpose, and we say, hey, but let me hold on, because something sounds a little, I'm not saying that that's not true, but there's something about that I'm really not understanding. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. So let me hold on. I need to give me a little bit of more time to process this. So let me ask a few more questions, because I don't know, for some reason, this narrative, it's not translating correctly to me. So we have to get ourselves in a place where we're not inviting these falsehoods. And sometimes, and let me just say this to some of y'all, I don't know why I feel this, but let me put it out there while it's here. You have to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a position because you have some toxic behaviors or some behaviors of inadequacy or some dysfunctions that you haven't dealt with or pursue wholeness, that you're not allowing the lies to come because you want to be told something, because you're not saying, I want them to tell me what I want to hear and what I know is not the truth. It's something that I know they're lying, but it pacifies me. It soothes me, because if they tell me the truth, I'm going to have to deal with the fallout. If they tell me the truth, then I'm going to have to say, and I was just speaking to one of my mentees today, I said there were situations, even in a past marriage, where I would not I would not be confrontational about a lie, because I said once the truth is revealed, there's an action that I have to take. It's going to force me to do something with this new revelation. And emotionally, I was not in the place where I could handle the fallout. Man, I hope I'm helping. And so sometimes we allow people to permeate our atmosphere with a false narrative because we are unable to handle the truth. See, truth makes us free, whether we want to be free or not. And so what we will do if we're not careful is we will empower someone to lie. We will position our ears to hear something that pacifies our flesh. We will position ourselves to hear something that keeps us in this state of inertia, where we won't have to make any hard decisions and where we won't have to do anything about what's really happening, because we've not matured. We've not operated in a space that keeps us where we've got to deal with some things. And so let us make sure that out of all of our getting, we not only get understanding, but we start getting some wholeness. Will thou be made whole? Because our dysfunctions distort our discernment. I hope I'm helping tonight. Secondly, let's deal with tyrants. We dealt with the liars. So now let's deal with the tyrants. The definition, if you really want to think about a tyrant is an oppressor. Somebody that is very cruel, but they're a person who yields authority over us. It's this cruel, oppressive authority. Tyrants are people who make us feel as though our world does not exist outside of them. Tyrants are people who make us feel like if we do anything contrary to their orders, that there will be a repercussion to those actions. Tyrants are people who make us feel like outside of the realm of their influence, outside of the realm of their protocol, that we're going to run into a deficit. Tyrants make us feel that if they don't have a hand over us, if we don't bring everything before them, if we don't submit every area of our lives to them, that we're not going to be able to walk in truth. We're never going to be able to manifest anything in our lives that are beneficial. And so we have to be careful, because most tyrants, it goes hand in hand with narcissism. And so a lot of us, I have been in positions of narcissistic people. And because my emotional capacity was very limited, because I had not dealt with healing and wholeness in that realm of unhealthy codependency, because there was a deficit in my identity, I would allow people with those type of behavior patterns to have a certain level of authority. I gave them access. Sometimes when you're in a place where you are, I used to be very indecisive. I had a hard time, used to have a hard time making decisions. I was always vacillating between one thing or another. I always felt like, well, if I do this, this may happen. And if I do that, they may. So I was always attracted towards people with authority. I was always attracted towards people who were very definitive in their decisions. I even though I could see sometimes that they were a little callous in the way that they conducted it, I would still be like, see that power, that authority, that assurance, even though there was this undercurrent of fear. When we start thinking about narcissism, when we start thinking about tyrants, whether they're emotionally captivating, they make us feel protected when we are really being imprisoned. I need to say this again. I hope y'all are sharing, because this is good to me. This is that kind of truth that makes us free, right? And so they can be very emotionally captivating. They can be very beguiling. They can, you just get in their presence and they just seem bigger than life. They just seem so overtly powerful and bold, and you just get intimidated. And there's this awe that you get with them, but then all of a sudden you realize that what you thought was a fence of protection was actually a fence of imprisonment. Let me say this again for y'all in the back. What you thought was a fence of protection it got smaller and smaller, and you discovered one day that it was a fence of imprisonment. because of the narcissistic approach of beguiling, enchantment, they'll almost make you feel as though this prison, you need this prison. You don't know how to act if I let you free. Don't you know the lions, the tigers, and the bears are out there and they're going to eat you up? Don't you know if you get from underneath my power and my control that you're going to bust your head to the white meat? What would you even be doing if you were not up under my leadership, my control? Who would you even be if I did not have the hand of power to sustain you? And if you're not careful, if you're not pursuing wholeness, if you're not able to see yourself in a place of distorted, if you don't see yourself, if you're only seeing yourself through a distortion of identity, you'll almost believe those lies. You'll get yourself in a place of dysfunction. And so we have to understand, when we start dealing with tyrants, when we start thinking about people who operate in this sense of narcissism, what does that look like? These people, personality traits that are connected to narcissism, these people want to be admired. They want you to always feel like, I heard somebody even say today as we were talking, and they were like, well, I was getting ready to answer something, and because the person I was talking to, was on the call, I knew I had to say something good about them because I knew that that's what they were waiting to hear. Listen, that is a symptom of narcissistic behavior, because they want to be admired. They feel as though it is your responsibility to gas them up, to butter them up, to always make them feel as though they are the creme de la creme, that they are the best of the best. They walk in a sense of entitlement. You think to yourself, well, if something good happens to me, I've got to help them. I've got to bless them. I've got to give them this to them, because they're, oh, I saw you, you went on vacation. You didn't bring me nothing back. Or I saw you out there with a new platform. You're not inviting me. I already know you're going to call me to speak. Like, we have to understand that sometimes if we're not careful, if we don't notice what my friend calls pink flags, that this thing will have a hold on you. They're very exploitive. They're very manipulative. They make you feel, they say things that make you second guess your decisions when you're in a place where you're thinking that maybe it's my time to walk away, to do things on my own, to start my own business, to start my own ministry, to start my own whatever, to get out there, to kind of break the chains of imprisonment. All of a sudden, they will say little things, very subtle things like, are you sure? Do you have a backup plan? If everybody gets you out there and put you out there, are you going to be okay? And then you start second guessing yourself. And then, are you sure you heard from God? Because don't you remember the last time you tried to do a certain thing, it didn't quite work out, and everybody else walked away, and I was the only person who had your back. And all of a sudden now you find yourself back in that same position because you just got manipulated, you just got emotionally assaulted, and you didn't even see it. Sometimes narcissistic behavior will show up as a lack of empathy. You can tell them things that you're going through. You can try to put things in front of them that, are happening to you. And they're just very, very, very careless about it. They're in a place where they just feel like, well, you just need to pray. You need to get over it. You need to just deal with it. You still crying about that. You still dealing with it. And you're just like, wait a minute, what happened with this? I don't understand, how somebody could be so callous emotionally towards something that I'm dealing with, because narcissists, their focus is themselves. And when you cease to be a benefit to something that they're doing and something that they want, then they don't have any emotional capacity for you. And so it's very easy for people who operate in narcissism to lack empathy. And then you go home and you're very emotionally distraught because you put something out there and it seemed like they didn't even care. You put something out there and it seemed like, oh, well, you don't care. After I kept helping you, after I did this, and now I'm telling you I got a problem. Well, maybe if you would have did better, or maybe if you weren't so gullible, folks wouldn't take advantage of you. Wait, what? I can't believe you're treating me like I don't understand how you could be emotionally so emotionally detached for them. That's a sign. That's tyrant. That's a tyrant that's trying to yield control. Here's another characteristic of narcissists. They're very envious of things that you do. You would think that they want to support you as you grow, as you obtain, as you attain, as you move towards a different level of purpose. But now all of a sudden, I saw you up there with all those folks. I hope you okay. I hope you mindful. They start planting seeds of some type of detachment. They start planting seeds so that you can start being suspicious of everybody else but them. Yeah, I saw you on Facebook with your little program you're doing, but just be careful with people, because or I saw that picture, I saw the picture of you with some little new friends, but don't forget the people that you used to know, or I saw you, because that's envious, because there's an issue, because they see that their reign of power, their reign of tyranny is coming to an end, because you're allowing yourselves not to be beguiled and captivated by their manipulation, because we have to understand that manipulation has roots in witchcraft. And sometimes you don't even know. I've been in a place where I could not understand, how am I so enamored with this atmosphere? I know it's toxic. I know that this is not where I need to be. I understand that there is something, as my daddy used to say, something in the Kool-Aid ain't sugar. And I understand that there's something off. There's something wrong with this. But why am I so enamored? Why am I so beguiled with this situation? Because manipulation has its roots in witchcraft. And if we're not careful, if we're not allowing somebody to come with the truth, to not be so concerned about whether or not they're telling us what we want to hear, but they're helping to pull us out of captivity. They're helping that the eyes of our understanding become enlightened. Y'all know that one of my favorite scriptures is Isaiah 59:10 in the CEV, that says, we feel our way along as if we were blind. We stumble at noon as if it were night. We can see no better than someone dead. And so a lot of the times we think we see very clearly, but we're operating with our eyes wide shut. They're open, but we still are not able to see. And so we're being emotionally and spiritually and mentally and relationally manipulated. And we think somebody's doing us a favor, but really they're envious. And so when you start hearing people start trying to dilute your accomplishments, start trying to degrade what it is that you're trying to do, start being very pessimistic about your plans, when you start seeing that they operate in a spirit of opposition to everything that you have, and they try to put it under the guise of criticism. Well, I'm just trying to be real. I'm just trying to help you out. I'm just trying to tell you what nobody else will tell you. No, you're just being a tyrant, and you don't want me to operate in wholeness, and you don't want me to manifest the good things that are supposed to happen in my life. And so the last thing I want to deal with tyrants, that they operate in a spirit of arrogance. They're very arrogant. They think of themselves higher than they should. They see themselves high and lifted up. And this is the crazy thing about it, when you allow tyranny to have unauthorized access into your atmosphere, most tyrants try to put you in a place of isolation. They don't want you to have access to other influences. They are, if you tell them, well, my coach said this, or my mentor said this, or I was listening at such and such. Why are you listening to those people? Oh, you just out there listening. You need to be listening to me. I'm the only person that's able to speak truth. All right. You let the other folks get you out there and get into your spirit. And all of a sudden, and they make you feel as though they're the only truth. They're the only perspective. They're the only way. And anything that you do outside of them is negative. It's witchcraft. They make you think everybody else is a witch. Everybody else is untrue. Everybody else is trying to manipulate you. Everybody else is trying to get over on you. Listen, let me just tell you the truth. Everybody ain't concerned about what you have. Everybody does not want what you have. Everybody is not a hater. Everybody doesn't even have an awareness of you or what you're doing. Tyrants will manipulate you and make you feel as though it's you, them, and then the world on the other side, and that they're the only person that stands between you and a breakdown, the only person that's standing between you and poverty, the only person that's standing between you and nothing and lack and scarcity. And so what they will do is they will try to isolate you. They will try to pull you away from people who can give you access to information and resources, and who can give you enlightenment, and who can position you in a realm of prosperity and purpose and progression. Yeah, listen, I'm off the chain. I just been holding this for a while. So I've just been ready to just kind of put it out there. So yeah, listen, I'm exposing this tonight because it's time out for us being in places of emotional lack. It's time out for us being cowards when it comes to our purpose and when it comes to who we're called and designed to be. And so I wanted to make sure that we deal with this thing, that we pull these smoke. This is a bunch of smoke, because when you really push back all of the smoke, what you're really seeing is a coward. What you're really seeing is somebody who is weak and feels inadequate and are yielding the realm of witchcraft and manipulation to keep you under them, because the truth of the matter is they feel low already. They don't feel validated in who they are. And so the only thing that will validate them is to put you up under them in a place of oppressive submission, so that you're not able. Real people of real power want you to prosper. I'm just going to say this. Real people with real power want you to prosper. Real people who are positioned to be coaches and pastors and mentors and help and motivators and people who want to push you into your purpose. They want to see you blessed. They want to see you wealthy. They want to see you healed. They want to see you walking out and doing your own thing. They want to see you out there winning. And they're going to equip you when they see you doing something that's going to make you fall or give you lack. They're not going to pull you back and say, no, you need to sit down. This isn't. They're going to say, hey, so let's evaluate that, and let me give you some new resources, and let me give you some fresh resources so you can get back out there and win. Let me equip you. I don't want to hinder you. I don't want to hold you hostage. Listen, it's not help when it's being held over your head. Can I just say this for the people in the back? It's not called help when it's being held over your head. For the people in the back, it is not called help if it's being held over your head. And so tyrants oppress you and they hold you hostage to their help. But real people with real power want you to prosper. Real people with real power want you to profit. Real people with real power want you to progress. Real people with real power want you to move forward in your purpose. And so we have to get to the place where we're able to see clearly. We're able to see tyrants who are self-centered and vain, who would use people for their own good, who have an inflated sense of self-importance, who would take advantage of other people and exploit them whenever it suits them, who are very charismatic. They're very beguiling. People are very enamored and people want to be around them because they love the attention. They're very alluring. But they don't take criticism well. You have to walk real careful when it's time to check them or when it's time to bring something to their attention. Oh, because they can't take it when the shoe's on the other foot. They can't handle criticism. They can't handle critique. They can't help it, handle it when you're saying, hey, I saw something that was off. I meant to do that. Don't you correct me. They act like, you came against Jesus's mama. If you come and try to say, hey, I'm just doing this to help, all of a sudden, no, you don't tell them, oh, you can't correct. Listen, if I'm in a place where I cannot be corrected, then there is something wrong with me. I've gotten to the place then where I know it all. That's going to lead me to falling. Because pride comes before a fall. And so if you ever want to find somebody that's getting ready to fall, find me a person who nobody can tell anything to. I'll find you a person that's getting ready to fall. Y'all better hear me. So they can't take criticism very well. They cut people off that they feel like oppose them. Oh, no, we cutting them off. And since they opposed me, I don't want any of y'all talking to them. All of us come against them. Nobody deals with them because they said something about me. And then the crazy thing is the stuff that the other people said be true. But no, they don't want anybody talking. And they make it seem like it's dishonor. And they make it seem like it's disrespect. We have to be very mindful. And we have to make sure that we're able to tap into a sense of discernment. And then we're afraid because when they do get angry and they do get into a state of rage, we're afraid of the repercussion that we may face because it's we're just saying, oh Lord, I don't want to make them mad. Oh Lord, I don't want to make them angry because man, when they lash out, it's, oh my goodness, they're going to hurt us with their words. They can make us feel so small. They can make me feel so unimportant. We have to be mindful of that because again, like I said, they can be very unsympathetic empathetic. They have a narcissist, and people who are tyrants have a really hard time expressing sympathy and experiencing empathy, and so they can't put themselves in your shoes. That's right. You walk on eggshells around them, and so we have to understand that these people position themselves in a place of oppressive authority over us, and we have this thing that we feel when we're around them that can be very damaging, that can be very it can just really exploit our emotions. And so we have to get to, and then they can throw out the scriptures, they can throw out things that make you have to, you check your own sanity, and you're just like, well, you know what, it sounds good on the outside, and they telling me this because they love me and they want to help. Listen, the best thing that you can do, number one, when you're dealing with tyrants, is that you have to pursue wholeness. I said it earlier, and I've been saying this forever. Dysfunction distorts discernment. And so when you have an area of dysfunction emotionally, when you have unhealthy codependency, when you're emotionally distraught, when you have not dealt with the sabotage in your emotions in your family, people who have exploited you, then your ability to discern people's intentions, it's going to be distorted. And so seek wholeness, whether that's getting into therapy, whether that's connecting with people who help you see the truth, who can mentor you, who can help you emotionally. Get with people who are able to help the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. Then you have to understand that that person is who they are. Sometimes you have to get to a place where you accept a tyrant for who they are. We know that saying, when somebody shows them who they are, we have to believe them, and we have to stop seeing through a filter of fantasy and a filter of facade. We're looking at them in the way we want to see them, and that's not the reality. And then every time the reality goes against what we have in our head, we're thrown off. But we have to accept people for who they are. That's just who he is. That's just who she is. I need to be aware of that person, because as long as I ignore it, as long as I pretend that it's not there, I'm going to put myself in the line of fire. But when I know I'm dealing with a tyrant, then I'm able to draw some lines of distinctions. I'm able to put some barriers in place. I'm able to say, wait a minute, I have to be. Some of you all, can I just tell the truth? You're emotionally negligent when it comes to yourself. You are an advocate for everybody else. You are a hero for everybody else. But when it comes to yourself, you are emotionally negligent, and you put your emotions and you put your purpose and you put your self-esteem in harm's way when you refuse to see people for who they really are. Because if you knew you were dealing with a tyrant, then there's just a certain amount of space you would put between you and them. If you knew you were dealing with a tyrant, then there would be certain places of access that they would not get. If you knew you were dealing with a tyrant, then there were certain things they say that you would not let manifest in your heart. If you knew you were dealing with a tyrant, then you would be very mindful of what you revealed to them and what you allowed them to speak to you. And so that the eyes of your understanding are enlightened, you have to make sure that you're not guilty yourself of emotional neglect when it comes to yourself. And so we have to start looking at ourselves. We have to make sure that we're not putting unrealistic expectations of people who don't have the capacity. And so we're putting we're allowing people to think they can protect us when they're emotionally dysfunctional. We have to make sure that we're not letting tyrants determine our self-worth. We have to understand that if we have to keep our expectations of them very realistic. We have to know that we can assert our own authority and we can challenge their authority. We don't have to take everything with a yes and an amen when we're dealing with tyrants. We have to be able to challenge it with our own. We have to say thank you for giving me that information. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to kind of pray about it, or I'm going to kind of seek wise counsel in another arena, and or I'm going to kind of do some research and find out before I make a decision. I'm not going to give you unauthorized access into my atmosphere. I need to make sure that I'm not hindered and that I'm not confined, because you're living in this island on your own, and because your whole intention again is to keep me isolated for your own benefit. So I've got to make sure that I'm in a place where I am not not captivated, where I am not willfully beguiled by people who are tyrants in my own life. And last but not least, I'm going to take a break real quick. Everybody that this is helping, if you're just new, thank you. But if this is really, I know we dealt with liars, now we just dealt with tyrants. If this blessed you, let me get that number 1 in the comments. Just want to make sure that this information is translating, that I'm talking to the right people, that what I'm saying, because I know what I was led to come up and talk about. Just want to make sure that this is translating well with those of us who have dealt with these situations. Again, I always say to people, I can't teach what I didn't reach. And so if I've never been in I couldn't really talk about this. This is not just something that I've read and researched. This is something that I went through and have went through in my life and still deal with. And thank God I have learned how to position myself in a place where I can fight back without having to lay hands. Thank y'all. I see you guys in the comments. I appreciate you so much. So grateful that this is a benefit for you all. And so